The thing that surprised Jeremy was the lack of reaction by any of the crew. Their one and only medic just died, and their first mate was probably on his way out the door as well, if he wasn't gone already. Still in his EVA suit, he walked through the kitchen. Keir eyed him, but said nothing. His foot was killing him, maybe chipped some bone at the heel, but it didn't slow him. Jeremy's footfall almost sounded as angry as he was. Clank, 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 as he power-limped his way through the ship. While he was in the medical bay, he'd taken Ares' tablet, unlocked it with his fingerprint, and rewrote the fingerprint stored for security with Jeremy's own. He'd need to know if Ares' friends came through with what was in the red spheres, not to mention that his own access would probably be blocked soon. And since Ares was dead, it might give him a few extra minutes. He passed Sella's quarters and slowed, then stopped. For a brief moment, he considered letting this all go. Let this scenario play out, see how things went. "Fuck that," he said aloud, continuing his journey. Jeremy half expected Sella to be at the only place he would go at this point, but she wasn't in the fabrication room. He sealed the doors, then accessed Ares' tablet. He sent a few messages, then loaded the crew locator. Surprisingly, it showed everyone except Ares and Dee right where they should be. There was no way Sella didn't know. Then Jeremy took a minute to think about it. Dee had no idea how long he'd be outside, and had no idea that Ares would seek Jeremy out. He might have just been passing by and saw a window of opportunity. They might not know. A pang of inspiration hit him. He paged the bridge. "Hey, it's Jeremy. Who's on duty right now?"
Ressi is here, as is Sella. What do you need, Jeremy Subtle?
Ressi answered.
"Nothing, actually,"
he said, hiding his relief.
"Just wanting to know who's there. It's been quiet for a while,"
he said, hiding his relief. Sela replied in a somewhat sultry voice.
"Hey, so Jeremy, how long do you think until you come back in for a break?"
Normally, Jeremy would have felt his throat tighten, butterflies in his stomach, and inflammation in his groin area, but right now, he felt remorse, not for him, but Sella. He was about to rain hell on her, and a very, very tiny part of him wanted her to be oblivious to the red spheres and Dee to be the sole person responsible. But he pushed that thought back under the rock from whence it came.
"Soon?"
he said.
"Maybe an hour?"
Canopy?
She asked.
"Sounds good,"
he said, ending the call. Checking their stock of raw materials, he canceled the print job for the radiator fins. Then he canceled it again, watched 2 more fins get started, and the last one abort about halfway through in a slush of aluminium pellets and a partially crafted fin. He shook his head. Now it was time to print some warheads. Jeremy signed into his profile on Ares' tablet. There was some things he needed to say. First and foremost, he sent a message to the Terran Border Patrol and Customs with the subject, murder. It detailed everything from his first arrival at Juntan to this very moment and laid out his plans for the immediate future. He also left contact information so that they would hopefully be able to reach him in case his access was blocked. Second, but more important than the first, he sent a message to his folks.
"Ma, Pa, hope you guys are doing well,"
he started.
"I can't think of a way to ease into this, so I'll get right to it. I'm in a bit of trouble, and not the kind Pa can fix by showing up to the station down the road. Hello?"
"Hello, son,"
his father said. He was clearly still in the hospital. The gown and plugs coming out of his arms were a dead giveaway.
"Pa?"
he asked, not sure if he was seeing things or not.
"You know these calls are hella expensive?"
"Yeah, I know that, boy,"
he said. Jeremy grimaced. He hadn't been called boy in a long, long time, back when his pa used to drink, but only when Jeremy had screwed up when he shouldn't have. That was the extent of it. Pa never hit him, nor his ma, but when you screwed up, he was sure to let you know, and he'd do it in that supremely condescending tone he probably didn't even realize he had.
"Yes, sir?"
Jeremy said.
"Your ma's gone, son,"
he said plainly.
What? I just heard from her day 4 yesterday?
She, well, she woke me up this morning, said she had an awful dream about you getting hurt and, well, she was having a heart attack after your pa.
Pa?
Jeremy stammered, finding that words were particularly difficult at the moment.
Son, I know this isn't easy. Just tell me you're safe, please.
His pa said. Jeremy perked up. He needed his father's counsel right now, but given his condition, a tough fucking bastard can take it.
Pa, I'm not actually safe. I've got a bit of a problem out here,
he said.
It's bad. Like so bad you couldn't do what you do with the cops back home, and right now, you're the only person alive I can trust. He started, stifling his emotions. They killed my best friend out here, Pa. They killed Erie, he said. He watched his father for a moment and tapped his screen when he thought the image had freezed on him. But then Pa moved.
Son, your ma, my wife, the woman I've loved since I was your age, died dreaming about this.
His father said, stifling his own emotions.
That said, you want to know what I always told those cops?
Jeremy couldn't answer. The emotions were overwhelming.
I told them the truth, son. I went and told them cops you were just a boy doing boy things. They seemed to understand and they'd let you go.
No way!
Jeremy shouted, removed for the briefest of moment from his current situation.
Here I thought you had some funny pics of the chief's wife or something.
His father laughed at that, probably too hard given his condition.
No, son, I just told them coppers you were a good kid and you'd do us all right one of these days.
Jeremy sobered from laughter at that point.
Well, Pa, I'm doing the best I can. You know, I was about to send you guys a message, but I think we all know I'm going to do what I can.
His father nodded.
Call me son. They fixed me up pretty good, so I'll be good to take care of your brother and sister. But let me know how things go, for better or worse.
Jeremy locked eyes with his father's image.
What if it's worse?
I'm sure they'll figure out that you're a decent kid trying to do what's best,
he said.
Thanks, Pa,
he said, ending the call. Jeremy noted that 4 warheads were ready, and that the other 4 would be out shortly. Realizing he was still in his EVA, he called his tote, which promptly arrived. He programmed the 4 warheads he had, told the tote where to drop them, and locked the door when it left. Right now, he had nothing but time.
Hey,
he said, calling Sella.
Sec.
She said. There was some scuffling and a get out of the way before she came back with,
You done?
break time.
he said, smirking for all the wrong reasons.
Canopy?
Canopy, 10 minutes.
He said.
I'll be there.
She affirmed. Jeremy checked the queue. The restraints he ordered were due to come out just about now. There was a quiet ding Jeremy had programmed into the fabricator a while ago, and Pa Arthur intended restraints dropped out of the chute. Their intended purpose was to bind their wings to the opposing arms, preventing any upper torso movement without ripping something out of place. Sella ripped her left wing out of socket with her right arm.
We have a destiny to fulfill,
She screamed. Jeremy bear-hugged her.
No, we don't,
He said calmly.
You're going to rip your wings off if you keep this up. Stop, please.
No.
Sella cried, only then realizing the pain she'd just inflicted on herself.
Why, Sella? Just tell me why, please.
Jeremy asked.
You. That's why.
She said, seething.
Me? Oh, you mean my long-dead ancestors, right?
He'd been considering resetting her wing into its joint, but her sudden attitude change made him reconsider.
No, you.
She screamed.
Me? Oh, me. The guy you tried to kill to sell some guns with no bullets and that shit in the pill bottles. Right. The guy you totally used against his will to meet your own ends. Please, Sella,
he shouted, grabbing either side of her face gently in his hands.
Please tell me what this poor asshole farm boy from Iowa did to you.
She calmed a bit at that.
Fine, it's your people.
Okay,
Jeremy said calmly, adjusting the camera attached to the EVA helmet he was still wearing.
So my people pissed off your people. Why the red shit?
He asked.
You know,
She replied. It was in that tone, Jeremy realized. Things all of the sudden went from almost making sense back to what the hell.
No, do enlighten me.
he said.
Ugh, do you seriously not remember?
Well, you did cut my oxygen, essentially forcing me to pancake myself against your airlock, killed my one and only buddy on this ship, and try to play it off like it's some kind of sex thing between you and me? Sorry if I'm a little confused.
You don't remember, do you?
She asked.
Remember what?
The first night you came up to the canopy?
Jeremy shook his head.
Yeah, we talked about drive-ins and bullshitted for a while.
That's the first time?
She asked. Jeremy's mind went fuzzy then. Was that the first time? He strained his mind to remember. No, that was it. This was a ploy to distract him from seeing her reach beneath the tree branch upon which she sat. He greeted her a lot like he did Daken Burton Tatim, just a little more gently. She was the only one with all the answers. Her hand came up with the plasma pistol, slowly, surrendering. He remembered that she had another hand, free now that her wing was dislocated. He pinned down that pistol-wielding hand as well, as...
Is it possible?
He grunted as he forced both weapons out of her hands.
That you have the ability to not lie to me?
She said the one thing that would ever make him hit a woman, the one and only time in his life. She said,
I love you.
and she lied.
Jeremy Suttle, this is Captain Jones with the Terran Police. Are you there?
A voice called on his tablet. He'd been sitting in the garden since he'd rendered Sella unconscious. The garden really did bring him peace, letting him relax for a moment despite the turmoil. That peace was over, he realized, as he picked up Aries' tablet. It was audio only, which was a little strange.
I'm here. The captain and first mate are subdued.
He said.
Good.
Jones said.
Are we clear to dock on the dorsal airlock?
Yeah, just...
He trailed off. His message was sent 37 minutes ago. Quantum relays transmitted it instantly. But he knew from the most recent map upload that the closest police cruiser would be days out, even on maximum burn. He was talking to pirates. Any other day, Jeremy would have freaked out. Any other day, he'd had stammered his response, would have made it clear that he knew what was going on. Any other day, and he'd had cost him and the entire crew their lives. It was a good day then, because he felt so emotionally numb at this point. It was easy to put on a happy face, to accept them at their word, and most importantly, today was not one of those days.
Actually, no. Jones, they've got warheads planted at most of the airlocks. I'm in the process of clearing them, but there's still 2 of those bastards still running around. Can I call you on this, Freck?
There was a pause, a lot longer than Jeremy hoped for, but he reminded himself that the longer the pause, the longer they were deliberating, and the more undecided they were about not only breaching, but not believing him, and he really, really needed these jackasses to believe him right now.
Yes, Suttle. Reach us on this frack once you've cleared us a path. What's your ETA on that?
Jones asked.
An hour?
Jeremy said, consulting his tablet on the progress of the warheads.
2 tops.
Call us when you've got a path?
Absolutely. I just want these vermin off my ship.
He replied, testing the waters.
Understood. We'll wait for your signal.
Jones replied. Once the call ended, Jeremy made a ship-wide call.
All crew meet by bulkhead Sierra 05 S05 as soon as possible. That's all crew, pilot included,
he said. He made sure Sella wasn't going anywhere, then started off toward the other cargo deck to meet the remaining crew, but with one important pit stop, the med bay. The sight of Aries saddened Jeremy. He nearly broke down into tears again, but reminded himself why he was doing what he was doing. Carefully, he picked up Aries' body and made his way to the cargo deck. In the middle of the restricted bay, the entire crew stood shocked when Jeremy entered, cradling his friend in his arms.
This is what Sella and D did,
he said, gently laying his friend on the deck.
And that?
He said, pointing to the containers behind them.
That is why.
Even the other 2 Pa'arthans looked surprised and helped the other crew dismantle the container, revealing its contents.
Any idea what those are?
Jeremy asked the Pa'arthan, who had managed to be the first to look into the pill bottles. The shrug, Jeremy had learned in school, was a near-universal sign of, I don't know. It seemed legit, so he didn't want to try and interrogate them. That was a job for the police, which were 2 days out. All the while, pirates were at their door.
So here's the deal. Sela and Dee sold us out. They're on some kind of suicide mission, and I can't figure out why, except they're both crazy. The police are on their way, probably less than 2 days now. In the meantime, Sela is captive up in her canopy, and I'm pretty sure Dackenburton Tatum is dead by airlock 13.
Jeremy blurted. There was chaos for a moment, but then he interrupted with,
Oh, and they murdered Airy.
Jeremy shifted more weight to his non-broken foot.
Unless there's any volunteers, I'm assuming command until the cops get here. Oh, we have pirates at our door. Any takers? Resi, Ekoronamia, no takers?
He asked. Both looked at each other, then at Jeremy, shrugging.
Forgive me, guys, but 2 out of the 4 Pa'arthans I've ever met have fucked me royally recently, so I'm going to have to ask you to stay in your quarters until I say otherwise, okay?
Resi spoke.
We've no affiliation with Sela.
Yeah, neither did Dackenburton Tatim. Please forgive my skepticism, but you'll need to stay in your rooms. Food and water will be brought to you.
Jeremy stated. Neither complained much and did as they were told.
As for the rest of us,
He said to the other 2,
we just have to make this ship as pirate-unfriendly as possible, and we have less than an hour to do it.